There's a new campaign to reduce a very wide gender gap in jobs in the building trades. Organized by the Northeast Center for Tradeswomen's Equity, the campaign's called Build a Life That Works. To tell us about the effort are a union pipe fitter and graduate of the Building Pathways program, Savy Man-Doherty, and a business representative and organizer from New England Regional Council of Carpenters, Elizabeth Skidmore. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
I'll start with Liz. For a long time, it seems the percentage of women in these trades has been very low. It hasn't been moving much until maybe recently. So I guess it's time for a different way to make a change here, right?
It is. So I became a carpenter 30 years ago. I started my apprenticeship, went through that, worked in the field about 10 years, and then I've worked for the union for about 20 years. But the whole time I was trying to figure out how to get more women access to these good jobs, because it's been such a good job for me. And about 10 years ago, we figured some stuff out. So previously in Boston and around the country, almost all the effort has been to recruit and train women. Recruit, train, recruit, train. And we had this sort of aha moment where we thought, okay, that's supply. We're not doing anything on demand. That's why it's not working. So nationally, women make up somewhere between 2 and 3% of trades people working with the tools in construction. In Massachusetts, since we shifted our strategies and have continued doing the outreach, recruiting and training, but also worked on demand side, which is getting owners. So the Mass Gaming Commission has been a critical partner in this, and the UMass Building Authority, the UMass Building System, to really commit to hiring women on their job site. So they already have goals. There's sort of legally set goals. But they weren't being fully enforced. So now we've almost tripled the number of women apprentices in the state, which is really exciting. Some trades are even in the double digits, 10, 12, 14% women. We've been able to take jobs that historically had, 0 to 1, 2, or 3% women, and now we're getting 8, 9, 10, 11% women. And it's really great because Savy's on the casino, which is a huge project. They've been really actively involved with this. I think there are about 7% women now. And for the women who work there, like in my time, I was the only woman on every job I ever worked on. And Savy's job, there are other women in lots of trades, and lots of trades have multiple women in that trade. And so you get to stop being the girl on the job, and you're the short one or the funny one or whatever, and you get to be known for something besides your gender, like your skill, hopefully. And it just makes the experience so much better, which then makes women more likely to stay, because they're not kind of being the lone pioneer every place they go.
Savy, I gather this is not your first job as an adult, but how did you go from what you did previously to what you're doing now in the building trades?
I was working in a nonprofit organization making just above minimum wage. But before then, in 2008, I've tried to join the construction field, and I've actually tried to be a Boston firefighter. But then the recession kicked in, and I ended up working at healthcare for a while. Then I went to nonprofit, and I was just like, this isn't me. Like, I want to work with my hands. I want to build stuff. I want to do things. I know I have more to offer. And yes, getting paid more is nice, but it was just like, sitting at a desk all day was not for me. So I got the calling for Building Pathways and an email blast from the CEO from the company I was working for the women's cycle. And I was like, let me go to the info session, see what this is about, see where I can go with this, see if I can get into the program. I got in. I kept telling myself I'm going to get into this program. Went through 7 weeks at the time, graduated in 2012, got into the Pipe Fitters Union in 2013, and I graduate this April from the Pipe Fitters.
I got to ask you, how much do pipe fitters make around here?
For the journeyman,
yes.
Close to $52 an hour. That's outside the envelope.
So plus the benefits.
Right, plus benefits, so $80 an hour in the envelope.
Liz, what you're also trying to I guess, change here is how women find their way to these jobs. I make the assumption sometimes that men get these jobs because their dad or their uncle did them or something like that. But what about the gap in opportunity for women that you're trying to close?
Exactly. So some women have found their way to the trades from their dad or their uncle or their grandfathers, same as the guys, but mostly it doesn't happen. And so this new campaign called Build a Life That Works is trying to do a sort of regular PR campaign to tell women this is really an option. Come meet a bunch of women like us who do this work, have done this work, love this work. See if it's a good fit for you. It's not a good fit for everyone, male or female. We're working outside in the weather. The people promoted to foreman are usually the ones that yell the most. There's challenges to it, but it also, as Savy said, it's incredibly satisfying, just unbelievably satisfying. You build something, there it is. Even if you're having a bad day, there it still is. Like, you still have that satisfaction, which I think none of us get so much in office jobs. So we're trying to get images of people like Savy, who is not, perhaps when people think of a pipe fitter or a construction worker, they don't necessarily picture someone like her or someone like me. And so this campaign is trying to also sort of show, like, Savy also likes to grill. Like, she's a total grill maniac. So some other women might like to grill or cook or something, and sort of be able to find that connection, that it's not just whatever stereotype one might have about women who work in construction. The truth is, it's a wide range of ages and races and personalities and mothers and not, and just a whole range. And so if you're a woman who doesn't want to sit at a desk, wants to earn really good money, wants to not have college debt, because our training is completely free to the apprentices, and I really knew nothing when I got in and learned all of my craft in school and on the job. If doing something that's like a little outside the norm appeals to you, which I think it does, frankly, to a lot of women, if you like the idea of getting equal pay for the job you're doing, which most white-collar jobs don't have, come into the union, come into the apprenticeship, learn your trade, and come get to hang out with us.
So what was it like that first day on the job at a real construction site?
It wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared either. My first job site was at Old Colony Projects. We redid the buildings in South Boston, and building pathways actually helped, like, to get, like, the nervousness and the butterflies out of me, I should say, because they guide you and they help you and let you know what's going to happen, what you're gonna go through during the construction field, I should say. And I wasn't nerve-wracking. It was, the hardest part for me was waking up that morning, because I had to be there early. It was just waking up. And my grandfather always said, don't think about work, just get up and go. And I just ended up doing that. So now I'm up early every day.
This has been a news and we're talking about recruiting more women for the building trades with Savy Man-Doherty and Elizabeth Skidmore. Elizabeth, I guess one of the other things that might make people nervous even before they're on a job site is, if I'm going to be learning how to be a pipe fitter or a carpenter or a sheet metal worker, I'm going to have these guys yelling at me and telling me what to do. I mean, what is the teaching like now? I mean, I imagine you've moved beyond that kind of thing, right?
I think the industry has. So one of the things that I've loved about it is the apprenticeship system goes back to the Middle Ages. I mean, this idea that you've got a master craftsperson and they take someone on and work side by side, and you learn together by doing, as opposed to just book learning, and you keep building and you're getting paid while you're learning. So the training is a combination of on-the-job training, where an apprentice gets paired with a journey level worker who trains them, and then classroom. So different trades, some trades do school for 3 years, up to 5 years, depending on what trade you go into. But all of them, it's around 160 hours of classroom training a year. And for some of the trades, there's a lot of math, like electricians or the pipe fitters. For carpenters, it's a lot more hands-on training about, like, framing a staircase, framing a roof rafter, putting up drywall, we're doing that hands-on. So the combination of really focused learning in school and then getting to really do it and build the muscle memory and learn tricks from the older guys on the job gives you the space to master the craft. And then when you're done with your apprenticeship, the goal is to be sort of a competitive, proficient, productive tradesperson, so that, because the truth is, we're kind of competing for our job every day. Because if I don't hang enough drywall today, I might get laid off tomorrow, and they bring on somebody who does. So you really, having this learning period gives you the time at a lower rate, but you're getting raises every 6 to 12 months, again, depending on your trade. So the contractor doesn't mind you're not so efficient while you're learning, but you're getting these automatic raises, you're learning more, you're going to school, and so you really master it. And my personal experience on the job is that if you showed yourself as an eager learner it sort of pulled the teacher out of people. And so I had incredible teachers on the job. Now, I have two things going for me. I'm very tall and I'm white. So both of those things, I think, have kept some of the discrimination away because I'm taller than a lot of guys. And so I think I kind of was lucky in both of those senses. But I also hear from younger folks that they're getting mentored and taught on the job in a really positive way too.
What about that, Savy? Did you have a mentor who was very helpful?
Every crew I've worked with, I've been with the same company since I've been in. So every journeyman I've worked with, every foreman I've worked with, have been nothing but helpful. The only time they yell is if there's a chop saw or like the soldering's going on, whatever. But other than that, like, everybody's been great. Like, they're very helpful. They teach me things. They make sure I ask questions so I know the trade. They make sure I don't say can't, come back and let them know I need help with something if I can't do it by myself. But everybody's teachers, the training coordinators out of 537, each and every one of them, business agents, business managers, they've been nothing but helpful. They're there when I call them to ask them questions. Even like my classmates and my peers, they're helpful as well too. Even though we might work for a different company, there might be some things that I might not know that they know we'll discuss in school before it starts, just so it helps one another.
Savy, you said when you started building pathways, you knew what kind of work you wanted to do, but you didn't know exactly which trade. How did you figure out which trade?
I figured it out when Julie Hemingway came to the session that day to speak to our class that day to speak to us. She explained what the pipe fitters do, what pipe and the different things that they do. Also, you can go through welding. There's another side of 537 was the refrigeration side, the service side. She made it sound like it's fun. Like, there's always something to do. The day goes by quick for me. Then when we went to the training facility, I got to do a little bit of welding. At the time, the welding instructor, it was Paul McGrath, who's our training coordinator now. He made my decision also easy to go there as well too, with the whole welding schooling that they have there. And I was just like, this is where I want to be. Like, this is, and the training coordinator, Timmy Gilligan, made it easy too. Like, he's just a very upfront guy that tells the truth about everything. Like,
do you have those moments when you look at something you've done and you say, yeah, that's...
Definitely. The Millennium Tower, the 55-story building, ink block, Troy, but everywhere I walk, I'm like, oh, I did that. Like, because growing up, like, I have a lot of uncles, and my grandfather was in the trade as well as he was a painter. He did the Filene's building. So when we were kids, I remember he used to tell us, oh, I did that building. So now I'm walking around like, oh, I did that. And like, when my aunts and uncles are showing my cousins, they're like, oh, where's her office? Where's she sit? And it's like, no, she helped build it. Like, it's just, it's a good feeling to let people know that I did it, she did it. Like, it wasn't like he did it. Like, and my picture's over across the street from Millennium. So that too, like, everybody's like, oh, we saw you downtown, your picture, it has the builders of Millennium right across the street, and we didn't know you worked on that project. Like, it's awesome. And everybody always asks, like, how's the piping system go from like the bottom floor all the way up to the top floor? It must have been a lot of pipe. And I'm like, it was a long job for me. It was 22 months.
Well, listen, if people want to find out more about this, give it a shot, what happens?
So, two things. We have a website, buildalifema.org. So come to the website, check it out. There's little information, including videos on each of the different trades. And then there's a contact us thing. So if you're interested in more, sort of just put your contact info, we'll be in touch. And the first Tuesday of every month, we're having what we call Tradeswomen Tuesdays in Dudley Square. So 2201 Washington Street in Dudley. First Tuesday of every month, 5 o'clock. And we bring in like a dozen different tradeswomen, go through a little presentation about the trades, the unions, apprenticeship, how this all works, how you apply, what the requirements are, all that stuff. And then you get to actually talk to a bunch of tradeswomen and ask questions that maybe you didn't want to ask in the big group, but you wanted to just ask personally. And we started this 5 months ago, and we've been getting 30 to 50 women every time we have it. So there absolutely is interest there, and we would love to have more folks come and learn more about this, see if this is a good fit for you.
Thank you both very much, Liz Skidmore and
Thank you.
Savy Man-Doherty.